to believe we're still talking about this, almost 2 full months after the last election, but here we are. The Liberal caucus is having their meeting on Monday, and this is something that had been talked about increasingly openly. I talked about it here with you. You read about it in the Hill Times. You read about it in the Toronto Star. Liberal MPs were getting increasingly frustrated with the government, with the Prime Minister's office, if we're being blunt about this, for not meeting with them after the election. And, a lot of Canadians, a lot of those Canadians who pay attention to this stuff, which maybe isn't that huge a number, but a lot of people had been wondering, where are we? Like, we had the election that we were told was the most important election since the Second World War, and then not much happened. Things are starting to happen now. We're still a couple of weeks away from actually having the House of Commons back. That's coming up. In fact, I think 2 weeks from the day I'm recording this, and the Prime Minister and a large Canadian delegation has now done the G20. They've done the COP26 climate change conference. We do now have a cabinet. We're starting to see that cabinet issue some orders. The new defense minister immediately steps up and do things that the former defense minister proved singularly incapable of doing, thus showing how completely useless he had turned into that job. In any case, though, I'm just trying to do the quick mental math here. We're basically 6 weeks out from the last election, and Liberal MPs for the first time today are having the opportunity to actually talk to their own leadership about this. When angry Liberal MPs are leaking their frustration to the Toronto Star, things aren't going well for the Prime Minister. And I'm wondering what's going to happen. We have actually now seen some progress. And I don't necessarily mean like in a good way. I'm not passing a value judgment. I'm just saying that things are actually finally starting to happen now. We've heard about the hard emissions cap at COP26. Now, presumably, having announced it on the global stage, presumably someone in the Prime Minister's government will figure out what the hell that actually is going to mean, because right now it just seems to be a statement issued abroad. The flags have gone up, and then they've come down again for Indigenous Veterans Day, which is, by the way, completely appropriate. The Indigenous contribution to our military history is poorly understood. I think it's great that we're going to bring the flags down on November 8th. Then they'll go back up, they'll go back down for Remembrance Day, and then they'll go back up to stay, which is good. Took a long time, but here we are finally moving forward on that. The whole last 6 weeks or so have just sort of been this weird interregnum where, into the silence of the government, the Conservatives, or at least a few dozen of their MPs and senators, have sort of helpfully stepped forward to cause some drama to keep things entertained, while we've all been waiting to see, what's going to happen with the Prime Minister meeting with his own caucus. Reports now that the Liberals are talking with the NDP about some sort of agreement to prop up the minority government for 3 years, we're hearing. All of this stuff was kind of a long time coming. Not really much of it needed an election to happen, but I guess that's water under the bridge now. We have just enough time for a short session of Parliament to sort of reauthorize some things and get the ball rolling on some legislation before the Christmas holidays. I don't really know why we had to idle everything from mid-August to basically now, but now that things are starting to happen again, I guess it's time to get back to work in Ottawa.